Here in the top left of the map, the Protoss second place from Korea. Give it up for Rain.
And of course, he goes up against quite a big fan favorite, I'd like to say. It is none other than EG Jaedong.
The intensity in his face is astounding, Apollo. One of the highest concentration levels I've ever seen in a pro gamer.
He knows that this is going to be a difficult group to play in. It's going to be a difficult first game for him to play in as well against Rain, who, as you described earlier, is incredibly solid. He doesn't really make mistakes very often.
Yeah.
He's going to be playing this game so strong, and it's going to be difficult for Jaedong to find weaknesses in Rain's play. And the only way that I feel Jaedong can win this series, he has to play better. And stronger and faster, all these things, he needs to do it better than Rain can ever do.
He actually has to have the Zerg vs Protoss games of his life to take out Rain, but I think that Jaedong can do that. He turns it on in high-pressure situations like this. If there is a huge crowd watching him, he draws energy from that, Apollo. And you know what? I think that if he can really scout out what Rain is up to, really figure out what the opening build order is, the opening strategy, that he is going to be a match for Rain. At least push Rain to his limits, if not beat him.
Well, the hatchery does get down there for Jaedong. Not too much of a problem. Did have to pull another drone to assist it to get down, though, which is a little bit of an issue here, and they do lose a little bit of resources when having to pull that second drone out. But with Rain's percentages against Protoss, they're at 66% when we looked at his stats. So far in his WCS runs, he's only played against 3 players. 1, 2, lost 1. Yeah. Only 3 players in his WCS run so far.
Well, you know, I have full confidence in Rain overall, even if he hasn't played a lot of the matchup recently. You know, he's on SK Telecom T1, one of the biggest and best teams in all of Korea, very strong Protoss line, so he definitely has a plan for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the one game that he played in Season 2 Premier League within Korea. It was against Hiver, and well, the games he won, man, he looked dominating. Yeah. And as you pointed out, if Rain's able to choose his strategy undetected from Jaedong's vision, Jaedong may get surprised and may be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
He needs to find out exactly what his opponent's planning. It's the key to beating Rain.
That's completely true. And in fact, that match that he played against Hiva, the game he didn't look like he was dominating in, Hiva figured out what was going on early on, put a stop to it, and then Rain just could not come back from there. And I think that Jaedong actually is a better player even than Hiva. So I think that if he figures that out, he can do it as well.
Well, we can already see Jaedong starting to take map control here with 2 Zerglings going to be outside the main Protoss base. This is going to allow him to spot any probes that try to leave the vicinity of this area. That, first of all, will give an indication if there's any aggression coming. And then they have 2 Overlords in fantastic location already here for Jaedong. One moving just south of the main base, another one to the east of the second base that Rain set up. He will look to poke in as much as possible if he's got his timings right to try to figure out what Rain's going to do here.
Yeah, the Overlord pincer, one of the best ways to scout for Zerg early on. It's worth giving up an Overlord or 2 to really figure out what's going on. And in this case, Apollo, looks like it's going to be a Stargate.
And look at the location of the Stargate here. Rain knows that it's important to keep the information away from Jaedong as much as possible. So what we see a lot with Protoss players is they kind of rotate the location that this Stargate goes in. I don't think over a stretch of months it is always in the same place.
You're completely right about that, Apollo. It's a funny thing. Sometimes you even hide it in plain sight. That looks like a place that the Overlord may peek in and see, but this Overlord's job is more to look at what time the gas comes up. So Rain has chosen an interesting spot, and he may not have it spotted until he actually has a Phoenix or a Void Ray out.
Well, it is going to be Phoenixes here from Rain, who likewise on the other side of the map did send out a probe, and he saw the Queen, so he kind of knows that the third base is down there. So he knows that he's not playing against aggression, and it is going to be set up in a very textbook style. As you can see, he actually did see the hatchery too, so he knows that this game is very, very normal.
And you know what, this is the right way to play against Jaedong right now. Play a normal standard macro game and see what you can do. Now he is sending out his first Phoenix, start hunting down these Overlords, supply Jaedong a little bit early on, and throwing up his Robo right behind it.
So he's going to be throwing that robotics facility to you know, most likely just look here to go towards Colossus as fast as possible. The units that Jaedong has at his disposal at the moment, Zerglings and Roaches, not going to be able to do too much against a Colossus and a bunch of sentries around it. But Jaedong eagerly looking for what's going on. He still doesn't know. He's seen the Phoenixes, but he doesn't know, is it a bunch of gateways behind it? Was it a faster robotics facility? And with this scout, at this very time, Jaedong seeing 3 gateways, he can now piece together that this was, in fact, a robotics facility immediately after the Stargate. Otherwise, those gateways would have been much closer to finishing.
Oh, for certain, Apollo. And in fact, right now, Jaedong is throwing down a lot of spores. And the Robo has finished, so let's go ahead and see exactly what he's going to make out of it. And there you go, he does go with that Colossus tech as predicted. You really do need that splash damage, just in case, you know?
And well, here the harassment begins for Rain, who is trying to slow down Jaedong as much as he can to get that splash damage to be able to utilize it, because if he isn't able to do anything to Jaedong has a free run through, and unfortunately loses one of the Phoenixes there. That's not ideal. He did pick up 4 drones, but not ideal at all there.
No, you really don't want to lose one of those early Phoenixes. They're used for more than just this harassment. Later on, they're going to be picking up units that are in the army, and they're still going to be scouting a lot, and to lose any of them, that's a big investment to lose one. Rain not doing his best so far with those.
And Jaedong, as you can see with his build, he did opt to go for quite a fast layer here over any upgrades at all. The layer was the first investment he actually, you know, use his gas for. So he's got the Hydralisk Den rather fast, and he's even building Hydralisk with Zerglings, which have Zergling speed completed as well. So he's going to start to pile on a bit of pressure soon. He will start to be more active on the map.
How much do you think he's going to commit to an attack here, Paul? Is this going to be a situation where you think he's going to go for the kill, or is he just making these units to have some sort of map presence, to put on a little bit of pressure?
To put on little pressure, because at this point, if he was ever to commit to it, the first Colossus has already been rushed out because the robotics facility was down so early. So Rain's almost kind of set up to deal with a lot of aggression, I feel, at this point. His sentry count's currently only at 2. That's not too many force fields here.
No, this is like the really greedy version of this build that Creator actually made way back in Wings of Liberty, where you only have a couple sentries, you're putting a lot more gas into things like upgrades, getting your Colossus out quicker and whatnot. And Jaedong right now actually making a lot more Zerglings, and that Spire's finishing up pretty quickly here. Could we see a Corruptor Zergling Hydralisk timing attack?
I think so. I think so. He already gets one of the Phoenixes down there. Quite useful to pick up the Hydralisk once an attack is actually committed to here. Jaedong, though, has lost overlords. He's a little bit supply capped here. He's not going to really rush out a large army, but he is setting up a flank. Artosis, the left-hand side, the right-hand side at the same time. Only 2 sentries. 1 Colossus on the left-hand side if that gets picked off.
Oh my god, that one on the left-hand side is so important, and the Zerglings going after it. It looks like, oh my god, Rain has saved it, but the Zerglings go in and kill it off. 1 sentry falling. In come the Phoenixes, but it looks like these Hydras may be too many.
They may be too many. He's got no sentries at all here to protect the Colossus. He's just finished up with Thermal Lance. Blink is being made. As you said, the greedy version of this build. Jaedong's got a 50-40 supply advantage here.
This is a huge lead for Jaedong right now, and in fact, going over to take out the Cybernetics Core, there's going to have to be more of a wall made here by Rain. This is fantastic for Jaedong.
And the Colossus on the right-hand side is out in the open. It's been abused once again here by these Zerglings and Hydralisks, and Jaedong opening up this series with a bang here. This is not usually meant to happen like this. It's meant to be much, much more control from Rain.
Oh my god, and Jaedong right now is switching into mutas, Apollo. This is a perfect situation for him.
Yeah,
and look at that, he's targeting the core. It's beautiful.
There's no Stalkers. What does he have? He's got 1 Stargate. Sure, he could build a Phoenix or 2. He's only got 2 at the moment. Jaedong with his trademark Nautilus, which aim teamed. 18 Mutalists are about to come on. There's a single Colossus there, another one, they're going to fall down immediately, which means the Zerglings that are going to back this up.
And
Rain has no observer, he doesn't know.
He has no idea, and don't forget, Jaedong already has that 4th base with the gases mining. Doing a great job right now. Jaedong, I think, is just going to kill him right now, Apollo.
Oh, man, this is, as soon as Rain sees this, he's going to be like, oh, no. Oh, no, because the Mutalists come in, man. He really does not have too much to deal with this. Only a handful of Phoenixes. The probes get evacuated immediately here.
This is a lot of mutas. Even though those Phoenixes are quicker with better range, it's going to be hard to kill this many Mutalisks with them.
All right, the Stalkers do have Blink, but they're getting picked off before they really do anything here. Jaedong controlling his Mutalists really, really well. And at the same time, there's a bunch of Zerglings being made. And they're in the center of the map here. Great control here from Jaedong. Whoa, 1 Phoenix down.
Looks like
89 supply to 165.
that's a huge difference, almost twice as much for Jaedong right now, and now the Zerglings coming in as well. They're going to help support these mutas, and there's just no way. Rain doesn't have enough units to deal with all of this at once.
And the Colossus get picked off, and the Zerglings will have free reign here. One Colossus down, the second one immediately. Jaedong, look at that supply, 170 to 79, and that safe, that solid play from Rain that we expected to see, just was not here. It wasn't here.
Well, I tell you what, Apollo, Jaedong figured out what he was going for. He saw that it was the really greedy type of play. He hit that attack. He did the Mutalist switch. Everything has gone beautifully.